So in this chapter, we will be working on ordering decimals. So we will understand and use decimal notation and place value, and then we will compare and order decimals. So first of all, we need to remind ourselves of what place value means. So when we're working with a decimal, you have your ones place, your tens place with an S, your hundreds place with an S, and your thousands place with an S. Now, when we start to travel behind the decimal, we have our tens place, TENTHS, and it represents 1/10. Hundreds place with a TH at the end of it, and our thousands place with a TH at the end of it. So that's the most important thing. So if I asked you to tell me what is the value of the 4, you would tell me that that is worth 4/10. If I asked you to tell me what's the value of the 5, you would tell me, well, first of all, it's in the hundredths place, it's worth 5/100. If I asked you to tell me the value of the 1 I just wrote an arrow to, you'd just tell me, oh, that's in the tens place, so that's worth 10. And if I asked you to tell me the value of the 1 that I just drew an arrow at, you just tell me, oh, it's just 1, because it's in the ones place. If it was 2, it'd be just a 2. Second skill is we need to compare and order decimals. So if you have an idea of what to do, go ahead and pause the video, give it a try. Make sure you indicate which side is greater using these brackets. So remember, you always want to eat the bigger side. So if this is 3 to 4, you eat the bigger side. Okay? So pause. Unless you don't know what to do, go ahead and just watch how I do the first one. So when it comes to comparing decimals, the easiest thing to do is to make sure that there's the same amount of numbers behind the decimal, so it makes it to be a more fair comparison. So looking at these two numbers, you have 0.047 against 0.04627. Now, sometimes we will have a tendency to think, oh, the one with the more numbers is the bigger one, but not necessarily. To make this an easier comparison, I want to make sure that there's a total of 5 numbers behind my decimal, since that's the longest, the biggest, I guess, the longest the numbers sequence in this case gets. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my empty gaps here in the top number with zeros, because it's okay to add zeros behind a decimal. Now, all you have to think about is comparing 4,700 or 4,627. Which is greater? Well, in this case, 0.047 is. That's one way to compare. Another thing to compare is to look at where the numbers end. So this one ends in the thousands place with a 7. And if I look at the thousands place in the other number, it ends with a 6. So in that case, which is greater, the 7 or the 6? The 7. So I can actually just look at that number and be able to compare which one's greater. Now, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the next problems. If you want to pause the video, you can at this time. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's explain these. 0.37 versus 0.4, and I'm going to go ahead and fill it in with an extra 0. So I'm comparing 37 to 40, and well, 40 is greater. And again, I can just look at the number in the tens place, because this one ends there, and decide, is 3 greater or is 4 greater? In this case, 4 is greater. And the last one, you have 3.35 versus 3.3. I could just stop in the tens place and compare, but apparently they're the same number. So I actually have to travel a bit further. I'm going to go ahead and add a 0 and now compare. 335 or 330? Which is greater? Well, it looks like 3.35 is greater. That's it.